Here's something that will blow your mind. Right now, swimming in our oceans, there's an animal so massive that its heart is the size of a small car. Its tongue weighs as much as an elephant. A human could swim through its arteries. I'm talking about the blue whale. And for your entire life, you've been told the same thing. This is the largest animal that has ever existed on planet Earth. Not just today. Ever. In 4 billion years of life on this planet, nothing has ever been bigger. It's in every textbook, every documentary, every museum exhibit. The blue whale is the undisputed heavyweight champion of Earth's history. The biological maximum. The final form. Except there's one tiny problem with that story. It's wrong. In 2018, on a beach in Somerset, England, a fossil hunter named Paul de la Salle was walking along the shoreline when he noticed something sticking out of the rocks. It was a bone. A really, really big bone. He reported it to scientists, and when they started analyzing it, they realized something terrifying. This wasn't just big. This was impossibly big. This bone belonged to a creature that, according to everything we thought we knew about biology and physics, shouldn't have been able to exist. They named it Ichthyotitan severnensis, the giant fish lizard of the Severn. And the size estimates they came up with were absolutely insane. We're talking about an animal that could have reached 25 to 30 meters long and weighed anywhere from 80 to potentially 280 tons. And here's the part that should terrify you. This thing wasn't a whale. It wasn't even a mammal. It was a reptile. A marine reptile that lived 202 million years ago during the late Triassic period, when dinosaurs were just starting to appear on land. And somehow, someway, this creature managed to do what modern science says is impossible. It got bigger than the blue whale. Now, before we go any further, we need to address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the whale in the ocean. When people argue about what's the biggest animal, they're usually talking about mass, not length. Because if we're just measuring by length, the blue whale isn't even close to being the record holder. There are animals way longer. Take the lion's mane jellyfish, for example. Some of these things have tentacles that stretch over 120 feet long. That's longer than a blue whale. But nobody's calling a jellyfish the biggest animal ever, because the actual body is tiny, and the tentacles are basically just strings of cells floating in the water. It weighs maybe 200 pounds. That's not giant. That's just long. Or, how about the bootlace worm? This thing can grow to 180 feet long, almost twice the length of a blue whale. But it's basically a living shoelace. It has about as much mass as a wet towel. When we talk about biggest, we're not talking about how far you can stretch something. We're talking about how much animal there actually is. Total biomass. The amount of flesh, bone, and organs packed into a single living creature. And by that measurement, the blue whale is king. A fully grown blue whale can reach 100 feet long and weigh 200 tons. That's 400,000 pounds of pure biological matter. It's the most massive single organism the planet has ever produced. Its heart alone weighs 1,300 pounds. One vertebra from its spine can weigh as much as a full-grown man. This is an animal that operates on a scale that seems to defy the laws of physics. But here's where things get interesting.
Oh my God!
The blue whale isn't big, because evolution was trying to create the ultimate creature. It's big because it has to be. See, blue whales are mammals, which means they breathe air and they're warm-blooded. They need to maintain a constant internal body temperature even when they're swimming in freezing Antarctic waters. To do that, they're covered in a thick layer of blubber that can be over a foot thick in some places. This blubber acts like insulation, keeping the whale's body heat from escaping into the cold ocean. But blubber is basically fat, and fat floats. If a blue whale was just a giant bag of blubber and air-filled lungs, it would bob around on the surface like a rubber duck and never be able to dive. So to counteract all that buoyancy, Blue whales have evolved incredibly dense, heavy bones. Their skeletons are massive and thick, acting as biological anchors to help them dive down to hunt for krill. This is why blue whales are so heavy. It's not just because they're big. It's because being a giant mammal in the ocean requires you to carry around a ton of extra weight just to function. Now here's the thing. Reptiles don't have that problem. Reptiles are cold-blooded, or more accurately, ectothermic. They don't need a thick layer of insulation because they don't generate their own body heat. They also don't have air-filled lungs in the same way mammals do. This means that, pound for pound, a reptile can be built much leaner and more efficient than a mammal of the same size. When you look at ancient marine reptiles like mosasaurs or plesiosaurs, they were terrifying predators, sure, but they were also relatively sleek. Long, muscular, built for speed and agility. They didn't need to be walking blubber tanks like whales. So when scientists first started finding bones from massive marine reptiles, they assumed the same thing. Big reptile equals long and lean, not thick and heavy. But then, we found Ichthyotitan. And Ichthyotitan broke all the rules. Let me paint you a picture of what we're dealing with here. In 2018, Paul de la Salle found the first jawbone. It was huge, but incomplete. Scientists couldn't get a clear size estimate from it. Then, in 2020, a second jawbone was found by fossil hunters Justin and Ruby Reynolds, along with their father. This one was better preserved. When scientists compared the two bones and started running the math, they realized something shocking. These bones were from an ichthyosaur, which is a group of marine reptiles that looked kind of like dolphins, but were actually more closely related to lizards. Ichthyosaurs had been around for millions of years, and we found hundreds of fossils from dozens of species. Most of them were relatively small, maybe 6 to 12 feet long. Some of the larger species could reach 50 feet. But Ichthyotitan? Ichthyotitan was in a completely different league. Based on the size of the jawbones and comparisons with other ichthyosaur species, the conservative estimate puts Ichthyotitan at around 80 feet long and 80 tons in weight. That's already massive. That's bigger than most whales alive today. But here's where it gets weird. That 80-ton estimate assumes Ichthyotitan had the same body proportions as smaller ichthyosaurs. Long, lean, built like a torpedo. But what if it didn't? What if Ichthyotitan was built more like a whale? Thick, heavy, designed to maintain body heat in deep, cold water? If you adjust the math to account for a stockier build, the weight estimate jumps to 120 tons, and that's just the average adult. Now, you might be thinking, okay, 120 tons is heavy, but that's still less than a 200-ton blue whale. The whale still wins. But hold on, that 200-ton figure? That's not the average blue whale. That's the absolute maximum. The heaviest blue whale ever recorded was 209 tons, and it was a freak of nature. The average adult blue whale weighs between 100 and 150 tons, which means a 120-ton Ichthyotitan is right in the same weight class. We're talking about a statistical tie. But it gets even crazier. Remember, we've only found 2 Ichthyotitan jawbones. 2. That's it. With blue whales, we've measured thousands of individuals over the past century. We have detailed records of their sizes, weights, ages, and geographic distributions. We know what the average blue whale looks like, and we know what the absolute largest outliers look like. But with Ichthyotitan, we have 2 bones. What are the mathematical odds that out of the millions of Ichthyotitans that lived over millions of years, we just happened to stumble upon the 2 largest individuals that ever existed? Basically 0. The specimens we found were probably average adults, maybe even juveniles, which means there were almost certainly larger individuals out there, much larger. And then there's Lilstock colossus. Years before Ichthyotitan was officially named and described, fossil hunters found another massive jawbone at a site called Lilstock in England. This bone was so comically large that scientists didn't know what to do with it. It was clearly from an ichthyosaur, but it was so much bigger than anything else we'd found that people were genuinely hesitant to classify it. Nobody wanted to be the scientist who claimed they found a sea monster and then turned out to be wrong. So the Lilstock bone just sat in paleontological limbo for years. But now that we have Ichthyotitan officially described, scientists can look back at the Lilstock colossus and say, okay, these are probably the same species, or at least the same type of giant ichthyosaur. And here's the kicker. The Lilstock bone is bigger than the Ichthyotitan bones, significantly bigger. When you run the size estimates based on the Lilstock specimen, you get an animal that was approximately 29 meters long, that's 95 feet, and weighed around 175 tons. Now we're talking about an animal that's approaching the maximum size of the largest blue whales ever recorded. But wait, there's more. Because here's the thing. We don't know if the Lilstock colossus was the maximum size for the species. It probably wasn't. If Ichthyotitan followed the same growth patterns as modern whales, where the absolute largest individuals are about 60% heavier than the average adult, then the theoretical maximum size for the species could have been as high as 280 tons. Let that sink in. 280 tons. That would make Ichthyotitan not just as big as a blue whale, but significantly bigger. Now, before you accuse me of making this up or exaggerating, let me be clear. This 280-ton figure is speculative. It's not a confirmed fact. It's based on mathematical models and comparisons with modern animals, and there are a lot of unknowns. We don't know if Ichthyotitan's growth curve actually matched that of modern whales. We don't know if the Lilstock colossus was even the same species. We don't know how much soft tissue these animals had or how their weight was distributed. But here's the thing. It's also not wrong to suggest this. The math checks out. The biology is plausible. And the fossil evidence, limited as it is, supports the idea that Ichthyotitan was absolutely massive. Possibly bigger than anything alive today.